This was an image posted on Twitter, I think. 4 Humboldt County churches reported vandalism. This is a common type of story that I see where churches or conservative homes or like Republican candidate headquarters get vandalized, quote unquote. But it is so obvious how absolutely fake. Like, these are clearly people doing it to themselves. They are people that want so badly to be a martyr. They so badly want to be the victim, right? They so badly want some kind of justification that they are in some ways being attacked. And this is a great example of it, right? I want to talk about this image, right? So this is a side of a church, I guess, a wall. And there's a lot of stuff spray painted on this wall. Okay. It's got BLM. It's got 666. It's got the Anarchy symbol as the A in Antifa. It's got kill MAGA / pigs. And then on the bottom, it's woke - up. Let me talk about now, as an artist, as somebody who is not a fan of organized religions in general, but specifically the Christian religions, as mostly because of my personal experiences growing up in church and seeing the reality, the absolute bullshit that is church, that is the Christian business model, where they use unpaid child labor for everything, but they have no problems, like the priests and the preachers and the pastors have no problem collecting a paycheck, but everybody else is volunteering, right? For everybody else, God will repay them tenfold, right? That's what they tell everybody. That's what they tell all the kids that work for free, that do their performances for free. Meanwhile, the priests and the pastors that perform every week, they get a salary, but the kids don't get a salary. So benefiting off of free child labor, but also an organization that is historically known for abusing children in all ways, not just unpaid labor, but actually attacking children, grooming children, brainwashing children, but then also protecting the abusers, specifically the Catholic Church, but also, Mormon churches, Christian churches. It's regular that priests and pastors, anybody that's in kind of any authority position in these religious cults, regularly kind of get exposed as being child predators, and generally are forgiven by the people or protected by the organizations themselves. So I'm not a fan of churches, right? I wouldn't spend my time tagging them. I'm not one who has ever used spray paint in general, let alone to deface property. Not my thing. But if I was, the only thing out of all of this that I would be putting on a church would be the 666. I would be only putting things that are scary to the brainwashed devotees of the cult, right? Anything satanic would freak them out. So 666, a pentagram is a no-brainer. Any kind of mention of Satan, the devil, hell, all of those things are great. Just great things that I would think somebody wanting to scare or intimidate people of that church would use, because those are the things directly related to that institution. Now, so that's one sign that this is fake. The other sign is the anarchy symbol, right? They all do this. It's weird. This is like trends that you see in these right wing. First off, they're using all the terms that they are the only ones who use, like woke, right? Woke, I don't feel is a pejorative. It's used as a pejorative to them. Like, they're somehow talking down to people who are awake, you know, like being awake in some way is a bad thing. But like people who are on the liberal side or the left-leaning side don't use the term woke. I'm not woke. I did, ironically at the beginning of this show, but because I knew this was coming up. But nobody uses woke. The term woke up is a weird, like they clearly try and use some made up slang, which is always interesting. Another trend that they do. Another trend is obviously the BLM. Nobody's putting Black Lives Matter on a church unless it's a racist church. It's BLM isn't something you write. The anarchy symbol, sure. But the anarchy symbol isn't connected to Antifa in any way. They seem to think it is. They think the anarchy symbol is Antifa. They're separate. They're separate. Anybody that's familiar who writes the anarchy symbol, they know what it is. And it's never followed by Antifa. They're separate things. But they love to do that. And this is the first time I've seen them do the anarchy symbol correct in any way. Usually they do it where the A is like kind of perfectly inside the circle. Like they do an A and then they draw a circle around it, where we all know the anarchy symbol, the tops and sides, like all of the aspects of the A burst through the edges of the zero, of the O that's around the anarchy. Okay. So at least they did the A right. A little bit too straight up and down. I mean, all this is very much like they're using the slats in the paneling on this building as like lined paper, and they're almost like writing things like they're so like programmed as sheep that even while trying to pretend to be vandals, they can't help but follow the lines of the building as if it's like lined paper, right? That's how programmed they are, right? Versus anarchy, not a whole, like the last aspect that's like the antithesis of anarchy. So the A spells out Antifa, which nobody's writing Antifa. Maybe if it was on a cop car or something like that. Same thing with the pigs. Pigs refers to as police. Nobody would use that in reference to a church. And nobody's calling for the death of MAGA, right? They think we are, because that's what their politicians are saying, that the liberals are killing us, right? That's what Marjorie Taylor Greene was telling people at one of those rallies. But nobody is. No, it's generally, especially like the domestic terrorists, all tend to be right-leaning. Usually their manifestos are very conservative, really regurgitating a lot of things that they heard on Fox News. But nobody's killing MAGA. Literally. Maybe metaphorically, it would be nice for that movement to die off, but nobody's literally out there killing them. And wouldn't call them MAGA pigs unless it was a police station that was full of cops that are racist, which most are. So there's a lot of things that are pointing to fake in this, right? Following the lines, the plethora of what they think are the enemy to them, right? BLM is their enemy. Antifa is their enemy. Apparently anarchy. They think we're out to kill them. Pigs, apparently. 666, the only one, 666, the only one out of all of this. Whoever thought, it clearly feels like there were two people, right? There's two different kinds of, and whoever did the 666, clearly. And you could tell they were nervous because that last six is a little sketchy, right? Christians get scared when they step near anything they may deem satanic. So whoever wrote the 666, by that last six, they were scared. Like their adrenaline level was so high. They're like, oh, I can't believe I'm writing the mark of the devil on this church, right? They probably had nightmares. They probably had to pray about it that night. But clearly fake. It's not like if somebody was going to vandalize a church, it would be all satanic shit. That's how you'd scare the Christian people. They don't like all this other stuff. That's just like it's clearly their propaganda. It's the thing that the forces that are out to get them. So anyway, this kind of fake martyrdom is hilarious as a trend. Is hilarious every time I see one. Like it seems like every other week there's a new attack, a new vandalism. Like the funny one was a conservative like political headquarters where it had a lot of this same stuff, but they didn't write anything over their logo. Like they didn't deface the Republican logo, which would be the first thing. Like in that case, if I, as an artist, as somebody who's like, if I was going to be a vandal in some way, which I've never done in my entire life, if I were to pick up a spray can, which I've rarely ever held a spray can in my entire life, and have never used a spray can on a building, if I were to pick up a spray can and go to a Republican political headquarters and deface a window, the first thing I would do is paint a swastika over the Republican logo, because that is a reflection of that party and something that they are clearly hiding. Less so today. They seem to be pretty accepting of the Nazi flags that show up at their rallies and stuff, but clearly one of the first things I would do, which an example of that, in where I live in the Coachella Valley, there's a street called El Paseo, kind of a fancy upper level shopping experience. And there was an artist that had like a giant space and is a very conservative artist. Not a great artist. I don't know how they got their money. Huge space on El Paseo. I don't think they still have it. But during Trump's, they had cardboard cutouts of notable liberal politicians like Hillary Clinton, on. And then they put like bullet holes and like it was dumb. But there was vandalism, and what they put on there were swastikas on the windows, which makes sense because that is so much of the Conservative Party is in line with the fascism of Germany back when Hitler was in popular demand. So yeah. Anyway, interesting to see this, and I wanted to talk about it as an artist. If I were going to be doing something like that, how I would, like, this is how I would know. Because it's just they're throwing too many things at the wall. It doesn't make any sense. There's no, like, all of this is just the things. The only thing that's impressive is that they actually drew the Anarchy symbol right for the first time, and they added the 666. Those are the only two things that feel off. If it was just those two things, it would be way more plausible than all of that other stuff that's there as well.
New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. And follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.